Welcome to the Business Mumma podcast, where we chat about creating a business that supports and flows with your family and with your life, not the other way around. Hi, I'm your host, Annalise Swan. I'm a marketing agency owner and a mother of 3 little ones. I'll be bringing you conversations with successful women in business, as well as practical marketing strategies and tips that you can action right away. So let's get into it. Hi, welcome. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Mumma podcast. Today we are talking to Kate Martin. I had such a great time speaking with her, as you can probably see by the length that this episode is. Kate is a fitness business mentor and coach. So she mentors women who are personal trainers or massage therapists, anyone in the health industry. She helps them go from being really great at what they do in terms of their trade to also being really awesome at the business side. And some of her case studies on her website are absolutely incredible. So we talk about all things about starting business, lots about personal training and how to get that sort of business off the ground and grow it. But this is applicable to any type of business. We ought to also talk about having a really great mindset and the fact that, as an entrepreneur, then you can spend a whole heap of time on your business rather than getting some more of the balance that you set out to achieve. So I really enjoyed this conversation and I really hope you do too. So that's enough from me, and here's Kate. Thank you so much, Kate, for joining us today.
My absolute pleasure, Annalise.
So how about we get started with you just introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about you and your business.
My background is I've been a personal trainer since I was 19, and I started working in somebody else's gym as an employee, and then went out on my own in various forms of health like massage, nutrition, that kind of stuff. I've moved around the country a lot, so starting again from scratch in different states, and I've figured out how to get things done and built really quickly, to the point where when I was at capacity with clients, I'd then have a contract to come on and get them at capacity. And so other trainers would always ask, how did you do that? So then I started training other trainers in 2006, other personal trainers is what I'm talking about, and health coaching people. I also have a really inquisitive mind, so it didn't matter who was teaching me things. I was always asking, why? What do you mean? Why? What do you mean? And then I went quite far down the track of how to fix my own back and fix people's spines and cores and that kind of thing in relation to anatomy and injuries. So then I started getting technical training on that stuff. And then I started training the teachers, teaching other trainers on that stuff. So I always had these courses that I've run, and I never really publicized it, as in put it on social media, because I thought I was late to the crowd with social media. That turns out I wasn't. But I didn't believe in it because people were just putting up pictures of their food and whatever, and I'm not interested. So 2007, I started sharing pictures of my daughter online, and then probably around 2011 started just promoting things to do with the business, like 12-week challenges, 8-week challenges, lose post-baby weight, menopausal programs. I've always had an insatiable kind of brain for ideas and never been able to do more than one project, but I always kept it in the health field. And then because I wanted to be 100% online and location friendly, I started promoting the coach trainers thing and got really, really narrowed in my niche and my target about that, I suppose, and promoted that I had spots available. So then that kind of launched itself over a couple of years of, trying and failing. Then because I wanted to be, 1,000% location independent, of not being stuck in 4 walls. That's now 100% of my business. So for the last 2 years, I haven't had any health coaching clients or personal training clients, and I've just done the business where I help other trainers or health professionals. Like one of my past clients is a chiropractor, got nutritionists, massage therapists, yoga people, gym people, and I help them to increase their income, predominantly women, because I know what it's like to have to work with limited amount of time, because I'm also a single mum. I have a partner now. He hates it when I say I'm a single mum. He doesn't live with me, so I provide for myself, I like to say. But I want to say as well, that amount of pressure that comes onto you when life circumstances and things like that happen is horrible at the time, but you know, how rocks under pressure make diamonds.
So much to dig into.
Did that answer the question?
It did. So the main part of what you're doing now is training personal trainers and people in the health field how to be better at their business.
Correct. How to increase their income without necessarily needing more clients. So I say experienced trainers because one, they've got a huge network of people existing already. The amount of people that have following them on social media is totally irrelevant. Everybody in their network kind of knows that they do the thing. So the second they launch something extra, it's very easy. Whereas if you're coming into the niche new, or you're coming into a business totally new and nobody knows that you do the thing, it's very hard to just create other packages and offers and then just sell it like that. It doesn't work as easily. You still have to build a tribe, so to speak. So the guys that I like to work with the most are the experienced personal trainers. I also think that when you have worked for yourself for a couple of years, you've kind of done your apprenticeship, because those first 2 years wear people out.
Yeah. It's so needed, because I'm a personal trainer. I have been as a hobby. Yeah. I've always done it on the side. I never did it to be a full-time gig. It worked because when I was getting married, my bridesmaids wanted to get fit. And so I started running group fitness classes just because I exercised. Like we'd meet in the park after work. And then I was like, I should probably know what I'm talking about. So I did the course, but it wasn't like I was like, I want to build this, this thing. And then ever since then, I've run Mums and Bob's fitness classes, or had one-on-ones, or just done it always on the side. But what I did see, I did do a stint in a Genesis gym when I was pregnant, so for about 6 months, like with my first child, I started there. And I noticed that everyone, like a lot of them were really great PTs, but they just had no idea how to sell themselves. And had no idea at the business side, didn't really want to, like they normally were just, quite fit and that was their passion, but didn't know how to translate that to, the person that's 20 years older than them that wants to lose weight for their daughter's wedding or whatever it is. So, so I think that what you're doing is definitely in need. And so that's great.
Yeah, it is a need. You're right, Annalise. Most of the really good technical trainers, I think, don't have a clue about marketing, which is good because they're very, very good at their art.
Yeah.
That was definitely me for the first decade, and the second decade I started to learn about the business side of things, which is a totally different animal.
Totally. And even now the fitness industry, I think, have caught on, because the new diploma of fitness is now, I think, like 50% business units. It's a lot. Like when I did it in maybe 2-3 years ago, and I did it because they changed it. I was actually teaching people to be personal trainers. So my real career was in vocational education. So I was working teaching for their RTO, teaching people how to be PTs.
Fern would have an RTO.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes, I've taught at some RTOs as well.
Yeah. So that was my job. And then to teach people to be personal trainers, you had to have the diploma of fitness. And I just got in. I did the late one in the last year. You could do it with all the exercise science modules, because I was like, I've already got a business degree. I don't want more business units in the diploma. If I'm going to do it, I want to learn about exercise physiology, and I want to learn about, all of the in-depth nitty-gritty, but it's not in there anymore. A lot of it's not in there.
Wow. Can I say it's one of those industries anyway that you really learn best by doing it on the job, by applying it to clients, and you would know yourself from doing a degree anyway that a lot of the time, by the time you go through the studies and they're teaching you the stuff, it's outdated. And the most current up-to-date stuff is not in a lot of courses anyway. So you've really got to pick and choose who you learn from as far as the technical stuff.
And it's so funny, even with the nutrition side, you've still got to teach like that, the updated version of the food pyramid. And I'm like, okay, so this is what you have to know, but maybe do some extra research.
We're still teaching the food pyramid?
Well, there's like an updated version, but basically, yes. Yes, we are. Yeah. All right. So talk to me about, let's go back to the start. Why did you start your business?
As I was saying to you earlier, and you've sent me the questions of, how did you get started, etc. And because I was 19, I didn't really know any other way apart from the fact that, and I know what holds a lot of people back the older we get is the more we think about things. And it also tends to be a female thing that we think about things a lot. And that's just how our brains work. I don't think there's any way to get around it. But because I was so young and I was having a go at things, maybe I was, I don't know, a little bit more rogue, a little bit gamer to have a go. I also knew that because my first job in the fitness industry was in a Fernwood as well, and I was there for a couple of years, but I would always butt heads with ideas with the owner, which is not really a really good thing to do if you're the employee. So then I remember I opened a massage clinic within his gym as well. So then I could do my own thing in there, and then opened another one in another place and another one in another place. And that's kind of how it got started, I guess, because I asked him for a pay raise and he didn't want to give it to me. He couldn't afford it. So why would he? So then I remember going into a gym across the road as a contractor, and then it just went from there. But I mean, prior to that, I'd been in IT. I did IT when I left school, and I had a really, really sore back. So what got me interested in the fitness industry in the first place was going down the line of, oh, I need to train to become a Pilates instructor. And back in those days, you had to go to the UK or I think New York, and it was $10,000 to do the course. I never got there because you also had to be a personal trainer already for 5 years or have a degree in health, and you weren't allowed to apply. So Joseph Pilates would roll over in his grave if you knew what was going on now. But that's what got me into. Then I thought, well, I'm going to have to become a personal trainer. I was lucky that my boss in IT at the time was really flexible with my hours. So he knew, and we still communicate now actually. So he let me out of work early. I remember I was commuting for 90 minutes to get to the gym to train when it opened at 6 a.m. And then I'd go to my IT job at 9 a.m. Then I'd go back to the gym at 4:30 p.m. and then work till 9 and then go home. And you do that when you're in your early 20s and you have no other responsibilities. So that's kind of how it started. It was because it was a passion, and I've always found that no matter the subject, whatever the subject matter is that you're building a business around, I feel like it's got to be led by some kind of passion and also desire to help other people, because that makes it a hell of a lot easier and satisfies so many things at once.
Yeah, I totally agree. If the passion's not there, we'll start, and then, you know, for 6-8 weeks in, it just gets too hard because you haven't got that anything driving you except for maybe, oh yeah, running a business kind of sounds fun. Like,
I'm not sure who said that, but yeah, that's definitely not the words that I would use to describe it. That's for sure. Not for most people's experience anyway, but it can be. But it really comes down to a lot of self-management. It's the biggest self-development course that you will ever do. Yeah.
We've had other mums on the podcast say the same thing. It's like holding a big mirror up in front of going, you see all the imperfections and you're like, oh yeah, I do that. Okay.
Yeah. And if you want to grow in terms of not just necessarily income, but to be able to make life and all your transactions and relationships smoother, etc., you have to address them, don't you? I don't think it means that you have to fill the gap and become somebody that you're not. I think it's about surrounding yourself with people who can help and accepting that that's the way you are personality-wise or the way you function. Like, for example, I'm more creative and ideas-driven than the cross the T's, dot the I's person. So I've had to surround myself with those people. Otherwise, I'd be in trouble.
You'd have a lot of good ideas and nothing totally implemented.
Yeah, and I'd have a lot of mess, which I do have because I tend to create things like quite quickly, but, you know, none of the links would work. The tax bills wouldn't get paid, like all that kind of really fun stuff, like Excel spreadsheets. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Someone else helps with that stuff.
Perfect. Okay, so talking about like the practical side of how you started it. So as a contractor, that's when were you paying rent at the gym at that time? Is that how it worked?
Similar to the Genesis model that you discussed, where most trainers, well, they're big box trainers. So there's either opportunity as a trainer, you can work outside, do your own thing, run a boot camp, that kind of thing, not be set in a location, or you're a big box trainer, or you've got your own gig. And that might be a small studio or it might be like a large square meterage. But yes, the first thing was I was in Fitness First, you know, the big gym that all the gyms copy off pretty much. And you pay rent and you're responsible for, that's it. They just don't care. As long as you pay rent, you're left to your own devices to get your own clients and to do whatever you like, I guess, as long as you pay your rent.
Yeah, I know. And it's not a small amount as when you're getting started. You're like, oh, okay, it's like nearly as much as my house rent. Okay, good. Let's like...
Yeah, but do you know what? Actually, the best grounding for that was I was already technically sound. Like I knew how to write programs. I wasn't green. I'd spent, I think it was 4 years probably at Fernwood from the age of 19.
Yeah, okay.
Around that. And I'd done a massage diploma as well while I was doing personal training full time. And I'd opened 3 clinics like that as well. So
you knew you were already set up.
I already had clients, yes, and I already knew. More importantly, I still think the most important thing in that realm of business is to know how to get people results. And if you don't know that, then you just focus the first couple of years on that, because otherwise when you're marketing and learning to sell, you feel like you're lying.
Yes, true.
And they are lying because you're just doing it off a script. And you can't really say with certainty, yes, Jenny, I can help you get XYZ results. You're doing it because you've read it out of a book, and that if it feels wrong, it's not the right thing to say.
Yeah, true. Okay, so then that was, in terms of then setting yourself up, that was sort of already done for you, and then it was just a matter of building from there. So how did you go about getting clients?
The good thing, and the thing that I wish most trainers who are in a big box gym would not complain about, is that it's hard to get clients. I think everything needs to be underpinned by the fact that you actually care and like people. You care about people and you like people. That's the only thing to worry about. Learn to say hello. You can pick clients up from there accidentally in conversations, but you do have to be prepared to obviously offer a complimentary chat, assessment session, or whatever it is. As I moved, because then obviously I moved because my dad was ill. I moved because my partner wanted to move interstate. I moved because I had a dog. There were so many crazy situations where, I don't know, I think I have a fear of commitment to a suburb or something, where I'd be in a certain place for a couple of years and then I'd up and move. Like the first place we moved from there, I remember, was Tasmania, Hobart actually, which, if you're listening to this from overseas, is a tiny, tiny little city/town. And I remember there was no days of the internet. I think this was 2002 or something, or 2003. I opened the yellow pages and I remember going to the letter P, and I thought, I'm just going to ring all the personal trainers. And so I went through the personal trainers, and all I wanted to do was meet up with them to have a coffee to see what it was like to work down there. Some were happy to meet. Some thought that was just the silliest idea ever. I made some really good friends out of it, because I've noticed with my nature that I put that above everything. I'd actually rather make friends with people than pretty much probably business or anything else. As my partner will tell you, you're always having lattes. What are you doing? As they do. But so I met people that way, and whenever I've moved, I've always set up some kind of network where I've wanted to meet personal trainers and see what it's like to work in the industry. But when it came down to business and growing, I've used a seminar model always. And yes, I like to teach that to people, but I've also got some people that are introverts and they don't like to do seminars. So you've got to be able to work with their talents and skill set as well. Mm-hmm. Not everybody likes to do seminars. Yeah. So that's actually what's grown it. No matter how many times I've moved, it's a seminar.
So a seminar on what?
For example, the 2 that I have repeated probably over 50 times is something to do with getting flat abs. Mm-hmm. And another one to do with fixing your back and back pain. At the 2, there's 3, really good count to see. I'm great with numbers. And another one called lean legs and how to get them. And then as my own, I guess, knowledge increased through the years, because I've always been a compulsive learner, I'm always doing some kind of technical course, then the content that's inside there would sometimes dramatically change as my belief systems changed on, what was the best way to get the person the results. And I think sometimes people are always, scared. And my girls is, well, then you say, I don't know, but that's a great question. Let me take your details and I'm going to get back to you. And then a relationship's developed from there. And then I would always offer a compliment to everybody that attended the session.
Look at you go.
And then within two, well, it's kind of an accident to figure it out, but it's because I'm better at talking than writing, Annalise. Otherwise I would have been writing books probably, or writing blog posts, but that came later. So you've got to work with your talent because it happens faster then. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but that's really great. That's something that people who are interested in building their personal training business can actually implement. So thank you so much for sharing that.
That's okay. Or any business, because I know that you do complimentary little helpful talk sessions as well, don't you?
Yeah. We've got a marketing mastermind and we offer every now and then. We do. At the moment, we're starting up new groups in September. And so the next couple of weeks, we've got a couple of free sessions every week. And then after that, it'll close. It's only for August. And then our groups will launch in September with whoever is enrolled in there. And then that's the group for 6 months. We're not launching again until next year. So yeah, August is busy right now for us.
Wow. And you're still doing this podcast. And you have 3 children and you're building a house, can I just say? So if anyone should be being interviewed, it should be Annalise, because I only have 1 and I'm not building a house.
Oh, don't be silly.
No, it's,
just busy. Everyone. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
It's horrible, isn't it? And it's so fun talking about yourself, not.
It's funny when you just do what you do. Like, yes, it's busy, but everyone's busy just with different things. And it's only until we actually like spell it out and go, and I do this. Oh yeah, and I do this. Oh, and I do this. That it's like, oh, actually, that's a lot. Like, it sounds more overwhelming than it is.
Good. Then let's not think about what your to-do list is.
Yeah. No, let's not. Good VAs. Let's just go back to that. Good VA.
Oh, you'll have to share the tips with me. I want to say on the seminar track or on anything to do with face-to-face, I know that everything's about online these days. However, I still don't believe that you can go past face-to-face human contact.
Yeah.
Even for me, if I'm choosing a coach now, because I'm much smarter with choosing people that I will get advice from, I know the name of the person's dog. I'm not usually my own customer. I really, really stalk that person, or I've met them face to face, or they come referred. And I just know that, for example, with my girls that are doing seminars, that they can call on those people again or offer them something later down the track, like 3 to 5 years later. And that transaction that happened in the seminar has not been forgotten. It's like the relationship that's developed is not forgotten. Whereas people will forget a video, they'll forget a blog post. They get an email or Facebook message because we're bombarded by the screen, but not the personal stuff.
Yeah, especially for a local business like personal training or something similar, because it has that local sort of element to it. So yes, you can meet locally. Internet's great for when you want to go broad, but yeah, you're right. Face to face. I mean, we're humans. That human to human connection is what we thrive in. So
yeah, definitely. Helps them launch other things as well. Like 2 of them within 2 days, 2 of them within 2 weeks of doing their first seminar got offered to speak at somebody else's. Yeah, I wish I had have taken a picture of every seminar that I've done, but I just didn't. There was no social media. Could have paid 20 guys. You've got so much free advertising at your use now. It's $10,000 or $20,000 to put an ad, or it was, in the Yellow Pages in the early 2000s.
I know, it's crazy.
So, yeah, don't complain about paying $5 a click for a Facebook ad or whatever people say.
Yeah, we definitely have lots more options, which is great. Okay, so let's talk about let's talk about what your business looks like now. So you explained that you work virtually with people in the health industry. So what does that exactly look like? What do you offer them? How do you help?
Good question. So what that looks like is it's not open to everybody to begin with, because I do work very, very closely with the people. So I say I've got to pick a good jockey, a bad business, but a good jockey. So they apply and then I talk to them and we talk about a few different things. But the way the course models work is there's a 90-day course at the moment that we start with. This is for experienced coaches. There's a 90-day course and they talk to me every week. We do a group Zoom call like this, but when I say a group Zoom call, I've been on group Zoom calls where there's 250, 350 people before, where I've been participating in courses. On mine, there'll be, 4 to 6 people. So everybody talks for quite a while. And we run through the curriculum, but more importantly, because they're people that they've got a kinesthetic business. Honestly, to be honest, Annalise, most of the time they don't even open the courseware. You know how you can see who's opened the email and who's seen the videos and all that stuff. They don't do that because they're like me. They're doing massages, they're running events, they're doing face-to-face stuff. So the thing that gets them through it, that gets them the results, is the talking and overcoming whatever the problems have been, and then setting them a new bunch of homework, whatever the steps are that they can actually execute for the next week, and keeping them accountable every week. And then they ask questions in a Facebook group. And it's as technical as that. I've done the whole back in the fitness days, I've done the whole membership site thing, had, 200 or 300 people in there. And even then, actually, you know how you can see the stats of who's viewed the videos? I used to send people the content in an email and then Q&A in a Facebook group. And then I'd go access the membership site. And if 500 people hadn't lost their logins, which they did, there'd be like 2 video views. I'm like, well, why did I spend 12 months building that thing? So one of my pieces of advice is don't go build that to people starting out. Don't build that thing. Build it around maybe your first test run of people through the thing, and understand that you've got to trust. You might have a basic overview and an outline. And when you know the problems that you can solve, it gets solved in the conversation, unless you're building a course and you want them to click and go through it. But I also don't like that model because I don't think it works.
Yeah, well, just like with going back to vocational education, online courses, you're lucky if there's a 50% finish rate. Like that's like amazing. Often it's more like, 5 to 10%. And vocational education, you need to be showing the regulators that what you're doing to keep people in. But still, even with that, like immense follow-up, 50% is like a good number of whoever finishes.
Yeah. I would have thought that 50% is a good follow-up to get to the second week. A good stat to get for people to get to the second week. Well, don't you? I know I have so many courses and things that I've purchased even things that I've actually paid quite a bit of money to. And if I don't have an appointment to show up to do the thing, I often won't do it. So there's a lot of lack of value there.
Yeah.
When we all start out with the best of intentions. Absolute best of intentions.
Okay, so then how do you work your business now around being a mum?
And I know you guys that have got multiple kids say, oh, it's fine, you've got one, you might as well have a few. No, I didn't. I didn't sleep for the first couple of years of her life, so that absolutely did me in. But how do I work it around? Well, the last couple of years, and if you'd have said this to me a few years ago, I would have dramatically rolled my eyes. But the last couple of years, I've actually discovered meditation. It took me probably $15,000 US for someone to tell me to do it before I did it. And there's plenty of free apps out there that I could have figured it out with, and everyone's been saying it for a long time. So that helps the overwhelm massively, because you feel like you can, I guess, put more fires out and, more importantly, do the productive stuff. I'm going to switch between mindset stuff and actual tactics, if that's okay. I wrote a blog article exactly on this the other day, so it's all quite fresh. And part of what I get my girls to do, because they're all mums as well, is I like them to stay accountable. And it's really important to check in with yourself, I think, every week when you work with yourself, as far as what didn't work, what did work, and not as far as results, but more for me, am I yelling too much at the people that I love? Is there some kind of health issue going on? And I feel incredibly grateful that I know enough about health markers and that kind of stuff, and you'd be the same because you're interested in health and fitness, that we probably put that quite high on our list of priorities. I think that if it's not, you will get to a point where your health suffers, and that's not worth really any business, because everybody when in their retirement ends up spending their money trying to get their health back, and it's hard. Then it's possible, but it's hard. So I think looking after your health is of paramount importance. Looking after your stress levels is of paramount importance. Checking in and visualizing with your goals and what it is that you're actually trying to create, and at the same time not taking it too seriously, which is a little bit like, I don't know, bipolar. Like you really do have to play it as a game so it's not quite as stressful. And then do whatever mindset work you need to do, maybe meditation, maybe journaling works as well. And journaling to complain, not just set goals and write a gratitude journal, although they are good too. Yeah, and I guess it's surrounding yourself with people that do support you and understand that it's probably not necessarily going to be your family and your close friends, because they aren't in the same realm. You are different if you work for yourself, end of story. I think we're like, the stats are, we're 1 in 12 or 1 in 15 or something, but we're rare. So expecting to get everybody else, even your partner sometimes too, I mean, yours is different because you work with yours, but I'm just speaking from advising some of my girls, even expecting your partner sometimes to understand is that just don't even go there. As long as you put that relationship quite high on the mark, if you want to actually keep it. I think there's sections of your life that you need to pay attention to each, and business is only one section. I have the personality, and I've just recently learned this. I've got the personality where I could just make my whole life could be business. I could sit here for 7 days a week. I really, really, really like it, but it's a little bit unbalanced, whatever that is. I don't think you should learn about balance from me. So make sure you put your health as a priority and don't yell at people too much.
I think that's so true for so many people who own their own business, because it's like the next baby. Like, if you love it, you do want to be in it all the time. And that's what I've been learning this year, is to put those boundaries in place and go, no, like when I pick up my daughter, computer goes closed. And then if I have to get something off that same day, well, the kids are in bed, quickly get it off before I go to the gym. But no, like I'm going to the gym. So, and then when I get back, computer's not open, like that's time with hubby. So to just be, because I could see it all day, every day, because I love it. I think a lot of people can relate to that.
The computer's off at night, and I'm glad you brought that up. That's a good point. Same. It wasn't a new rule for me, because being a personal trainer, you might have 15 minutes in between clients to create content, or sometimes, and this is a bad management mistake actually that I've learned, was Stella would be in bed and then I would be up late, which you can't do for consecutive years when you've got to get up early. But I was doing it anyway, and I was up early and down late, and anyway, then needing a nap in the middle of the day, which is, I too do believe that if you need a nap, you need a nap. Don't keep going, because your brain is fuzzy, and then you get into that whole beta state of brainwave. Learning about that is important as well, because like one of my girls just messaged me and said, actually, I've just got to switch off. I can't even answer the questions. I'm just going for a walk with the dog. Yeah. She runs a really busy, high income earning business, and she's going for a walk with the dog instead of doing the social media that she's meant to be doing. Yeah. And I think that that's awesome, because it's important. Good. And it is important to look after your sleep, obviously, and looking at screens before you go to bed, or you can have a disturbed sleep cycle. Women are more sensitive. Our pressures are different as well. We cope with, multiple things, just the way our brain works, which I think can be obviously to our detriment if you're trying to run a business as well. But it's just learning to manage that. Like you said, turn the screen off unless it's absolutely critical.
Yeah.
Plus, when your kids get a bit older, they're like, but you're on the computer. So, yeah.
How old is your daughter?
She's just turned 12.
Okay, so total different ball game. So how do you make sure that you get time with her, mum time?
It is a constant juggling the guilt. I don't know the answer to that question, because each age that they're at, they need different things. Because, I'll tell you one thing that I implement, and then obviously next month it's gone out, because, for example, we just got a dog. So it's like she's not really an only child now. I'm just teaching her to clean up poo all day, every day that she's here. Like whenever she's here, dog's her responsibility. So that's been actually a really good learning experience for her. I like the time of taking her to school and dropping her off in the car. We talk. It's not a long talk. And often I actually even get, say, for example, help, or my mother or someone to do the drop-off pickup. Got out of the habit when we had the dog, when we first got the dog, but now I'm back in the habit of putting her to bed, and she likes to vocalize like for half an hour when she goes to sleep. So that's really good time actually. And she'll tell me now, because she's at the age where she can say, hey, do you think we can go out to dinner soon? Wow. So she asks me on dates. It is. And yeah, Annalise, I don't know, I'm just thinking of all the guilt now.
No.
I need to be making her do homework. I need to be making her do this.
It's so, I think as soon as we become parents, it's just the guilt's there either way. Like if you're working, you're going, oh, well, I'm working and so my child's in care, or I'm not looking after them. But then if you're not working, going, oh, well, am I contributing to them socially? Am I contributing financially? Am I leading a good example for them? And so either way you cut it, I think we're just inbuilt to be thinking we're not doing well enough as a mum, and like we should be doing better. And that's great in that if we're assessing what we're doing and going, okay, well, that means now I'm going to implement, monthly dates, or I'm going to implement that's what we're trying to do with our kids, is that both Jason and I get time every month with each child individually, like whether, he takes the son to Macca's for a soft serve or a play, or like whatever it is. And it's not perfect, but like at least the guilt prompts that going, okay, well, let's try that. And we're aiming there. So I think it's productive in a sense, but also like if we're beating ourselves up, like what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. You do have to be present, so you're not beating yourself up.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, actually, the soft serve at Macca's. I'm just
For
thinking
a
back to a
4-year-old,
couple
yeah.
of years. Yeah, true. Look,
Like best thing ever.
they don't need to talk, I guess, that much at that age. You can work a bit more. They're going to have something to hang on to resent you against anyway, really.
Thanks. I'm not there yet. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Yeah, you're at the 12. I've only, like, my eldest.
Do you know what? I was a horrible teenager, and I figure the only armor that I've got against that happening to me is to have an amazing relationship with her. And the level that we communicate on, I'm so grateful for that, because I think she tells me everything. I feel like she tells me everything. And I'll never forget an old personal training client of mine was a psychologist. This was way before I had kids. And she said, and I wasn't having them. She said to me, Kate, never forget when you have kids that you must just give them confidence. Give them confidence and resilience, and I won't have a job. And I said, Anna, don't worry about that. But I've never forgotten that. And it's funny, the comments and the compliments I get about how she's not an extrovert. She's the opposite to me. She's like an accountant that would rather stay home and not talk to people, which is why it's hard trying to find an interest that she likes to do that we can do together that doesn't involve eating ice cream. I'm not joking. Can we go to the ice cream? No, please, no more ice cream. And plus I'm health conscious with her too. So the first couple of years of her life was just all organic until people started taking her to McDonald's. But another story. Yep, I've gone off the train, lost my train of thought. A couple of years ago, it was Wednesday afternoon. Yeah, a couple of years ago, it was Wednesday afternoon and Sunday, and that was it. I booked nothing else in, and we would socialise on purpose. So now it's either socialise on purpose, like after school for an hour or two, and then I'll talk to her each night. And I also find dinner time is good because it's slow, as long as there's no screens on, no TV or anything.
I think if she's asking you out for dinner, then you're definitely doing some things right.
Thanks, I'll take that. Yeah, she also, have you seen that quote on social media that says, yeah, I've got to love my daughter, but it's like having a best friend that thinks you're a multimillionaire. That's got no money. It's like having a best friend that's got no money that thinks you're a billionaire.
Perfect. Again, mine haven't realised that yet. They haven't really realised that money's a thing. Oh, well.
No, they're really interesting conversations to start having, actually, because I'm trying not to, because I'm about this whole let's help women earn money thing when we realise we've only had bank accounts for a generation or two, so the stigma is so high.
Oh, wow, that's really weird to think about.
It's it's an amazing topic to go into and so worthwhile. But because it was her birthday recently, and something. Well, I'm just like this. Can't you just give me $1,000? And my reaction was, oh, no. And I thought, why did I react like that? I don't want to teach her to not ask. And I don't want to teach her that that's an enormous amount of money, because this is where we get all our stuff from, right? It's our parents and the 10 generations prior. So I said, it's not that I don't want you to ask, but I want you to know this about money or any material, anything that you want. You ask the question, you put it out there, and then you just leave it alone. Stop hounding me or worrying about where it's actually going to come from. One, it would help if you took some action to earn some stuff, like sell some of your toys. I'll show you how to sell the stuff, blah, blah, blah. But this is what I mean when she's opposite of me. At her age, I was already knocking on doors, selling flowers back to people that I pulled out of their yard. Actually, told me, I was telling Stella the story the other day. One lady said to me, I would have bought the flowers except I saw you pull them out of my yard. And then I went home. Or I was washing cars. I used to block the street off with the neighbourhood friends, would block the street off with our hands. So it was only a quiet street. They'd drive through and we'd say, hey, can we wash your car for $5? So we used to run a car wash club.
Look at you, entrepreneurial as a teen.
Yeah, no, that was 10 or 11. But
oh, wow.
Well, and then as soon as I could get a job, I was working at Macca's. But can I say, it's very important for people to learn what to do with their money. Earning money is one part of the personality. Saving it and investing it is another part. Receiving it is another thing. There's all parts to the money personality. It's an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
I was trying not to react when she asked me for that, but then she's also asked for a Gucci bag and a this and that and the other. I'm like, okay, this has got to stop.
Now the answer's no.
I'm going to put a ribbon on the dog for your birthday.
That's so great that you're thinking deeper than that and then analysing your reaction. That's really food for thought. So thanks for that.
Just another thing for all us women to feel guilty about.
Yeah.
Raising our kids.
Because we'll, reach perfection one day, not.
It is our job to change the consciousness, though, I think, because it's been unconscious.
Yeah, definitely. And that scarcity or poverty mindset, and really breaking that, which I think both of us are passionate about. We're both you and I are really passionate about helping women do their thing and be good at it and get paid for it. So yeah, I think it's really important. All right. So we've been going for a while, but you're just so easy to chat to. So let's talk quickly about what your biggest challenges have been. So you did mention a little bit about how you were trying and failing. Maybe if you can talk a little bit about
the biggest challenges have been, look, can I just, I don't even know what the right word is. My biggest challenge sometimes is English, English language. Our challenges are always in our head. They're always mental. So you can overcome things without looking for external things and just work on yourself, I want to say. Even I think relationships, you can change the other person by just worrying about yourself. That's a Byron Katie quote, if you've heard of her. One of the hardest things, and this made me realize I have to figure out a better way to use my time and track everything, like from time to money to everything, just for a while till you get used to it. And that was the becoming a single mum thing. Because I ended up in Centrelink. Like, you have to go there. You have to have an appointment there to make sure all the paperwork's done. And I don't know if you've ever been to Centrelink, which is the place in Australia where, if you're listening to this, people go for benefits off our government, so to get paid pretty much. And you don't get paid a lot.
like welfare.
Yeah, welfare.
The equivalent,
Thank you.
yeah.
See, English language. The equivalent of welfare. Anyway, so that only took one visit for me to cry a lot for the rest of that day, and cry while I was in there, and realize I do not fit in this category of people in this place that do not have any teeth. I'm not joking. I just remember thinking, goodness, a lot of them don't have any teeth. Yeah, so from a lot of pressure grew something good, which was knowing how to use my time, understanding that if I had to fill in for a contractor repetitively because they ring at 3 a.m. in the morning to fill a 6 o'clock class, that's fine, but they can't keep having a job. Hard stuff. So you grow out of pressure and stress. It's funny, I've got a friend at the moment. She's not in the fitness industry, but her husband's been laid off because he's got a back injury, and they've got their own business, so he can't work. So she's feeling the pressure. And I know out of this, when rock's under pressure, it grows and turns into a diamond. You know that expression? So true. You just have to put whatever management tactics in place that you have to put in place. And I wish back then, which was around 2010, 11, that I had have known as much about meditation and that kind of stuff that I do now, but for whatever reason I didn't. So I remember breaking a laptop in frustration because I was trying to build an email thing and it wouldn't work. So I threw it off the table. It wasn't until you'll get to a point where what's the price that you're willing to pay? And if the pain's great enough, you'll move or change. And yes, in relation to projects, I've launched a lot of things that have not worked, which is why you get the few that do work. And when you launch something and it doesn't work, that's okay. Make sure you've really given it a good go and then pivot quickly so you don't lose your mind or your money or whatever. Yes, I've lost a lot of money as well. But deciding on how much risk you're comfortable in taking, I think, is important as well. Sorry, I've gone actually real philosophical on you, Annalise.
It's perfect.
I think it's important. And to not make it, humans are meaning-making machines, that expression, and to not make it mean anything about you as a person. It doesn't mean anything just because you launched the XYZ and it didn't work the way you expected it to. Don't expect people to opt in and buy your thing unless you literally send 1,000 people to the page. Know the stats and the numbers, and then it doesn't matter as much. And if you don't know them, then find out what they are.
Yeah, and they're quite sobering because, you know that we work in digital marketing, and when you tell people the conversion rates for a landing page are this to get an email address, and then the conversion for that for the actual product is this, and every industry is a bit different, but you end up with really big numbers around what you might have been expecting, people who aren't aware what they're expecting to pay for a client or a sale versus the reality of what that actually is.
Or is every industry different of what to expect to pay for a client? Because I know in our industry what to expect.
It is different. So we work with trades and builders primarily, but I also work with a couple of mums that have online courses and things like that. So for an example, for our own agency for digital marketing, for us to get a client, so a builder who is a client, we normally run Facebook ads, and we will run a Facebook ad that offers like a 14-day paid trial before they sign up for a few months, or a free audit, something like that. And for me to get contact details for me to get a booked phone call, like a strategy session, that normally would cost about $100 in ads for me to get that call. Once I've got the call, depending on my conversion rate, which when I started was terrible, I was terrible with sales over the phone. I'm still not great at it. So say maybe that would be 10%. So I might be paying $1,000 to get a client, but $1,000 for a client, that's less than what they would pay me to run their Facebook ads for the month, for 1 month. So although it sounds like a lot of money, it's actually totally worth it for me to pay $1,000 to get a client, because I might get, some of our clients we have for a year or more, and would be getting, $20,000 from that client in the end.
Perfect. Yeah. So I reckon if you can get it to 10% of what the end thing.
Well, then it also, and it depends in terms of how much time and resources that costs. Yeah. So if you're selling an online course and you don't have to do anything, you might be willing to pay $1,000 to sell a $2,000 product, because it's not costing you anything. It's a money machine, $1 in, $2 out. Great. Thank you very much. And you might be spending $100,000 to get $200,000, but why not? So, and they might be the stats around some online courses. I mean, your model's different. You actually input a lot of time into your girls, and there's that face-to-face component. But one of my clients in the US, they join a LinkedIn group and that's it. In terms of face-to-face content, there's nothing. Everything, the videos are online. That's what it is. So for her, those margins are actually reasonable and it's fine. But if you tell someone that you have to spend $1,000 to get one client to get 2,000, a lot of them will freak out. And that goes back to your risk management sort of.
Yeah, really interesting, actually. Yeah. And it is up to us to educate them, isn't it, of what to expect?
Yeah. And webinars will have different conversion rates to just a normal, like a sales call, or, like your seminars will have different conversion rates to what you do now. Everything sort of has different, and the only way you'll find out for your audience and your method is to test things. You just have to be willing to lose some money to buy the data.
Yeah, actually, yes, exactly. Because it's not losing money, it's learning, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's, I did build a webinar course not longer, or maybe 2 years ago, but we've still got access to the material now. It's amazing, but it went for 8 weeks. So I didn't quite get it finished in 8 weeks, but I finished just afterwards. But the stats and the tracking and things that they actually teach you to do. And now I've got a year of statistics. Yeah. So we've gone back in and looked at the year of statistics. I can tell you exactly the conversion rate, the dollar that it cost on ad spend. And I can't tell you how much better it makes me feel about, a bad week or a bad month or a bad climate or a bad people have got their period, or, there's an election going on. There are very, very quiet periods, and you cannot judge it over a short amount of time. Yeah. You have to track as well. With everything, my clients are tracking, hopefully, their clients' bodies. Otherwise, in business. But
how are they going to know if they get them the results?
Well, believe it or not, some people don't do it. I don't know. And then it's up to you to convince the client. And then girls are so unobjective. They're oh no, I think the dryer actually made my clothes bigger. No, I'm not joking. Somebody said that to me once. She said it in front of a group of people actually, and they all went, no, you've lost a dress size. We can all see. But it didn't matter, because that's how a girl's head works. But when you're tracking the stuff, you can tell. But it's interesting. Oh, there was something else I wanted to say on that point, because that was really interesting what you were saying, but I've forgotten. I'll think of it in 20 minutes.
We can add it to the notes at the end if we need to. All right. Well, we've nearly been going for an hour, so we should wrap up, even though I could probably talk to you all day. Have you got any advice for other mums that are dreaming about starting their own business?
Yes, don't dream, do it. And I like I think it's the Anthony Robbins expression of imagine. I asked one of my girlfriends this a long time ago, because she runs a catering company. She had 2 restaurants at the time. She's in Sydney. I remember saying to her, how do you do it? How can you be bothered to do it? And I just remember her firing 5 people at once. And I thought, oh my God, that's so drastic. How do you do it? And she said, I don't want to be on my balcony when I'm 80 on my rocking chair thinking, what would have happened if I had a go? So you just never know. And you have to support yourself with people and play it as a game. And I love the philosophy of all this stuff. So that's actually basically what my blog is about, is the philosophy of all the stuff, because it is a mindset game. So get your mind strong.
I like what you said, right back at the start, where you said, give it your best and take it seriously, but not too seriously. And it goes back to that, not wrapping your self-worth in the success of one project or one or one launch or one product, because this is all a game. It's all an experiment. This whole new technologically connected world, it's this new moment in time that hasn't been done before. And your product is probably going to be different to something that's even quite similar done by somebody else. So you don't know how it's going to be received or out there. And so, yeah, I totally agree with all of what you're saying is what I'm slowly rambling on about.
I don't think that's a slow ramble. You're actually very clear. I tend to ramble. But on that, I think it's important for girls, and I know you're meant to do a SWOT analysis and all that stuff, but I don't think it's important to focus on, unless you've got a 4 walls, then you do need to know about the competition, and then it's too bad because someone else can open on the next block anyway. You've just got to learn to be different and have different product offers. However, in relation to fitness, don't compare yourself to the competition. Keep your blinkers on and don't look at what anyone else is doing. I think that's actually critical, because girls tend to get a bit, but them over there and them over there, and I do it myself. I don't do it regularly anymore. Don't look what other people are doing, especially anyone that, maybe you've had a run-in with in the past. Forgive it and get over it, because it will play itself out in your business now.
I wrote a blog post a little while ago about comparison, because I noticed myself doing that and being like, what am I doing? Even now, I'm recording a podcast after this about getting distracted, because it's so easy to look at what everyone else is doing, like, oh, well, maybe I could just turn it into that, or, oh, I should do that. Or like, there's so many things we could do that, right? Like the blinkers on, stay in your own lane, like, yes, do your research and then turn it off, decide what you're doing and then do it. Yeah.
And the people will love you. You just have to be yourself. Like especially if you're service-based or anything to do with your personality, understand that it's fine and there's plenty for everyone. Even if you're a fitness professional and you're opening a studio or a 4 walls, because they're so small these days, it's not, Fitness First doesn't open up next to Genesis for a reason, because they need like 2,000 to 5,000, 6,000, 8,000, 13,000 in one of the gyms I worked at. They need that many people. Well, that's why they're closing, because little studios are popping up. They need like 200 people max. Plenty for everybody.
And where can people find you if they want to hunt you down? What's the best way to get in touch or follow you on social?
Either my website, which is katemartinmentor.com, or the personal training business page, which is personal training mentor, or just find me and friend me on social media if you like, Kate Martin.
We'll tag you, I'm sure.
Thank you, Annalise.
So thank you so much. It's been great getting to know you a little bit more and hear all your wisdom from your years of experience and working with women and as a mum. So I think we really covered some really great practical things as well as the mindset side. So thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you, Annalise. What you're doing is actually critically important for all the girls. Just do it.
Yes, just do it. Go out there and do it. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Business Mumma podcast. I hope you got some actionable tips that you can implement in your business right away. Please, please, please rate and subscribe, and then head on over to mumma.digital to continue the conversation and let me know what you thought. Have a really wonderful week, and if you'd like to come and say hi, come to our Facebook group, Business Mummas. See you there.